everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Drin and this is Drin the Moment. Today we are talking about the future of nursing. We are talking about this because of recent events that has happened in the nursing world. Specifically, ding ding ding, you named it, Redonda Vaught. Redonda Vaught, if you don't know, has been a nurse since 2015 and just very recently this year, earlier last month, was convicted guilty of injecting the incorrect medication into a patient. I want to keep my review of this as objective as possible, so please call me out if I get personal or personalize it in any way. But from my understanding, this nurse incorrectly injected a paralytic instead of a sedative, which in the ICU setting is very hard to do considering all of the stop and what are those called? Sorry, I had a little brain fart. The little warning signs that pop up in the Pyxis or Omnicell, which is the little medication cabinets that nurses take medication out of. Usually when you're pulling out paralytic, it'll say, hey, this is a paralytic. Are you sure you want to pull it out? And apparently in this trial, or in this case of Redonda, there were like 5 stops or warnings about asking if you wanted to pull it out or not. It's not even about the trial. I kind of want to get over it because this case is very important in terms of the systemic issues at hand. It's not a new thing, and this has been happening for well over like 2 decades, and I'll tell you why. Before I also go into it, the only credibility that I have is that I've been a nurse for about 6 years across different types of different kind of settings, psych, long-term care, ICU, work from home, you name it. I've jumped around. I didn't like my jobs. I went to the next one. Anyways, I also have a master's degree in clinical informatics, and in that degree, I would say I mostly learned about the deeper healthcare system and how U.S. healthcare has evolved into what we have now. And so now my goal is to somehow mix those two together, process my thoughts here on YouTube, and kind of get this information out to you guys. Okay, so here's the tea. In November of 1999, the Institute of Medicine, going forward, I'm going to say the IOM, the Institute of Medicine, released a brief statement, it's mostly like a large article, called To Err is Human, where they kind of reviewed like, hey, healthcare is not safe. We need to do something about it. And I'm saying this, 1999. And I will read something off from this article that you literally could Google. Errors are costly in terms of loss of trust in the healthcare system by patients and diminished satisfaction by both patients and healthcare professionals. Again, healthcare is a decade or more behind many other high-risk industries in its attention to ensuring basic safety. Scroll a little more. Voluntary reporting systems will provide an important complement to the mandatory system. The process of developing and adopting standards also helps to form expectations for safety among providers and consumers. Medication errors now occur frequently in hospitals, yet many hospitals are not making use of known systems for improving safety. ... So once this article came out, a lot of hospitals jumped on this, oh my gosh, we need to have systems in place to make healthcare safer. We as humans, no matter if you're a doctor, nurse, respiratory therapist, etc., we are humans. We are trained to do things in high-risk environments, but at the end of the day, we are humans. So this system needs to help us out. The system that was in place, or at least I learned, was basically comparing healthcare to the airline industry. Another high-risk activity that we as humans engage in is going on a plane. And I say we as in healthcare tried to emulate or copy the airline industry because now it's very safe. And the reason why it's very safe is because aviation has a very strong safety culture. It enacts this idea of a just culture. Here's one of the largest things that healthcare tried to copy from aviation that didn't end up happening in this specific situation with Redonda. And that is no fault reporting for errors and accidents. So if you guys look in Google into this case, this nurse did everything that we as nurses are taught when an error is made. The idea of a just culture is that you do not get in trouble for an error that is made because by reporting the error, we are working off of something that we can fix. So it's a consistent, no tattletaling, you made this error exists because of this human factor within us. And what can the system do to fix that? And so on top of aviation, we also have what's called an HRO, which a lot of healthcare organizations have tried to apply to their system, and that's a high reliability organization. And it's just all these different factors of how we can make this hospital the safest possible place for our patients. Guess what? It's still not safe. So let's move on. Fast forward from 1999, where in 2001, the IOM then releases what's called Crossing the Quality Chasm, a New Health System for the 21st Century, which is a follow-up report that sets these 6 goals for health systems to employ to increase patient safety and decrease medical errors. These 6 goals are safety, efficiency, patient-centeredness, timeliness, effectiveness, and equity. So the point I'm trying to make here is, why has it been more than 2 decades, 2011, yeah, almost 2 decades, and nothing has really changed in terms of safety? I'm sure that if we were to look into the actual research, the incidence of medical errors has decreased to some point, but why is it now that after knowing system issues and there are publications saying, hey, we know these issues, we know it's unbelievably unsafe to be in the hospital, which is why we have whole entire risk management departments at hospitals and we budget for situations like this, why is it now that nurses, who are supposed to be protected by the system because we are employing this just culture of safety and trying to better the system, why is the system now coming for these human errors? It's a good question to ask. I can go round and round and round in conversation about the issues that are happening, but I think that everyone's aware, or I hope to be, that everyone's aware of what healthcare is like now. There's always that surface level complaint, and I think that we are at this level of awareness, but now that we are talking about it so much, we need to rise to the level of the solution. So here's my thought. I think that the hospital system is gonna crash somehow, some way, whether that be because of this nursing case. A lot of nurses leave bedside nursing and find different fields of nursing that they feel safer in, and that they don't feel like fearful of losing their license. But without nurses to staff a hospital, you can't really have a hospital running. We already have the issue of the nursing shortage prior to COVID that was increased and made worse by COVID, and is going to get worse because of this situation. On May 12th, on Nurses Day, during Nurses Week, nurses are going to be marching on the Million Nurse March in Washington to effectively fight for safer patient ratios. And that's the thing, is we as nurses don't want to not be nurses. I think that we can all say that we love nursing, but we hate healthcare. And that's one of the solutions to decreasing medical errors, is safer patient ratios. In terms of people that aren't in healthcare, this is the idea or solution that I have in my head, and that is to be more mindful about your own health. Engage in preventative healthcare. That means going to your yearly physical, finding more about what your body is like. All of our bodies are different. You know, what one medication will work for you won't work for another, even though you have the same diagnosis and disease. Learn more about your body. The more that we can do and grow ourselves individually, the better we are helping the collective. And that's not even the healthcare sense. That's just large picture. I think that when hospitals don't become the place that healthcare is serviced, I believe that with the technology that is coming out, a lot of your healthcare will actually be done in your own home. You know, right now we already have the ability for you to take your blood pressure at home, to take for your full vital signs. You could take your temperature, your blood pressure, your pulse ox, all at home. And soon enough, I believe that we're going to be coming out with the ability to take your own EKG at home. An example of that would be able to, get your heart rhythm and have a machine tell you whether you're having a funky rhythm or not. So instead of waiting for a heart attack to happen because you're in AFib consistently, you can call up your doctor and be like, hey, like my EKG says that I have a weird rhythm. I don't necessarily know what it means, but should I come in for this? That way, we're not bogging down the hospital system. There's only so many patients that hospital can safely service in a day, and by us individually taking care of our own health prior to getting to that crisis situation will greatly help the hospital system. And honestly, I don't even know how to explain like how much that would just like relieve the issues that are happening in the hospital system right now. This last bit is going to be towards all the nurses that are still in nursing school, so the nursing students. I don't know what type of conversations or discussions that you've had with your professors, but I can't imagine that it is an easy time to be in nursing school right now. Nursing school is already a very hard and arduous journey to get through, and so now this new fear of like, oh my gosh, like my new grad year is going to be so hard, I might get fired for making an error because I don't really actually know what I'm doing yet. Hang in there. Your nurses will take care of you. Hopefully we can rebuild this trust with the system that we work in, and hang in there. That honestly, that it'll be okay. There's a lot of issues right now, but it'll be okay. For the nurses right now, I hope that your hospital system has sent out a statement about Redonda Vaught and what they can do in support of you. And if they haven't, I think that it's a great time to kind of reflect if this is a company that you actually want to work for. I'm finding that a lot of these big name, number one forefront of healthcare companies, I don't know. I can't say that I have full trust of them. It's still my job. I can't necessarily just quit. But I hope that by opening these conversations and making them very transparent online, we can all come to a conclusion together. And that's pretty much all I have to say about this topic. And it's the future of nursing is uncertain, but we will be okay. And that's all I have. Bye.